So what if you could fund a dream without, a family fortune? Today, we're going to break down how three friends turned a $12,000 hope into a real-life business, all by using a framework that saw potential where traditional banks just saw risk.
Okay, let's meet our heroes. We've got Eli, an architect, Jasmine, a cafe manager, and Kai, an artist. These are skilled, talented people who were just tired of building someone else's vision. They were dreaming of a real brick-and-mortar space where they could finally combine their talents and create something that was truly theirs.
So this was what they had to start with, $12,000, and that was scraped together from all their personal savings combined. Look, it wasn't a fortune, but it was literally everything they had to put towards their dream, a cool community space they wanted to call Roost Co.
They had this crystal clear idea, right? Plus deep experience in their fields, and every single cent of their savings on the line. But the big looming question was, would a traditional lender even get it? Could they actually get the rest of the funding they needed for, inventory, renovations, all the stuff you need to actually open the doors?
Yeah, the banks thought very differently. From their perspective, there was too little history and not enough collateral, like a house, to secure a loan. And this is such a common, super frustrating roadblock for so many entrepreneurs, especially if they're the first in their family to do something like this.
But this is where the story gets really interesting. They found a totally different kind of lender, one that used this special framework to look at the whole picture. It's called the 5 C's of credit, and believe me, it completely changed the game for them.
All right, so let's dive into this. We're going to break down each of these 5 C's one by one and see exactly how this completely different way of looking at their application made all the difference for the Roost Co team.
So first up, we've got character. Now this isn't about, personality. In the world of lending, character is all about trustworthiness and commitment. Are these people reliable? Do they pay their bills? It's really a measure of integrity.
And they had it in spades. They didn't have these flashy credit histories, but they had years of paying rent on time, handling their bills responsibly. And this is huge. They were deeply invested in their neighborhood. This wasn't some random gamble for them. It was a real commitment to the community they already called home.
Okay, next on the list is capacity. This C asks a very, very practical question. Do these folks have the skills, the experience, and a solid plan to actually make money and pay back this loan? Can they really pull this off?
And this is where their real-world experience just shines. Jasmine knew the cafe business inside and out. Kai already had a proven track record of selling his art, and Eli's full-time job, that provided a critical financial safety net, which lowered the overall risk. They weren't just jumping in blind. They were prepared.
All right, C number 3, capital. This is all about what the founders themselves are willing to risk. It's that old saying, skin in the game. How much of their own money are they putting on the line? It's kind of the ultimate proof that they truly believe in their own idea.
And while $12,000 might not sound like a ton of money to start a business, the really crucial part is that it was their money. It was everything they could pull together, and that shows a lender you're all in. This wasn't just some casual side project. This was everything to them.
Okay, let's talk about collateral. Now, this is the one that trips up so many new entrepreneurs who don't own a house or have major assets. Collateral is something of value that can back up the loan if things go south. But as we're about to see, it doesn't always have to be real estate.
And this is just brilliant. This is where that creative approach made all the difference. The team's collateral wasn't a building. It was the essential equipment for the business itself. The espresso machines, the coolers, the furniture. All of it was tangible, it was insurable, and it could absolutely back the loan.
And last but not least, we have conditions. So this one's all about looking at the big picture, beyond the founders themselves. It asks, what's going on in the market? Is the timing right for this? Is there actually a real demand for what this business wants to offer?
And for Roost Co., the conditions were, perfect. They were in a city with a coffee scene that was absolutely booming, and people were craving local, community-focused spots. They weren't just opening another coffee shop, they were tapping directly into a very clear and growing local trend.
Okay, so when you put it all together, after looking at Eli, Jasmine, and Kai through this whole new lens of the 5 C's, what was the difference? How did the final outcome completely change when their whole story was actually heard?
Look at this. The difference is night and day. Where a traditional bank saw not enough collateral, this new way of looking at it found creative collateral in their equipment. Where the bank saw too little history, this approach saw their professional skills as proven capacity. And the result? That polite no turned into a yes.
So they got it, 65 grand. They secured a loan through a program from the Small Business Administration called the Community Advantage Program. It's a type of financing specifically designed for entrepreneurs in places that are often overlooked, people with solid skills and a great plan, but maybe more modest savings.
So what does that actually mean? What did they build with that money? What did Roost Co become once they finally had the capital they needed to bring that dream to life?
Well, that loan didn't just launch a business, it really created a ripple effect. They opened their awesome community space, they hired local staff within just 6 months, and they built a solid business with 3 different ways of making money. And the best part? They proved the whole model worked by staying on top of all their loan repayments.
And really, this is what it all boils down to. Their story is powerful proof that there are other ways to get into business ownership. You don't always need inherited wealth or to spend decades saving up. Sometimes it's about finding a lender who's willing to see the complete picture.
What this whole story shows us is that true value isn't just something you measure in a bank account. It's also in our skills, our integrity, and the creative assets we have all around us. Which kind of leaves us with one last thought. What hidden value are you holding on to that might just be the key to your own dream?